know, I'm in this presentation. I will recommend some stocks. We'll review stocks, things like that. Well, not recommend it. It's kind of your choice if you decide to buy or sell or invest in those stocks. I'm not. It's all up to you. It's not my recommendation. It's just what I may or may not be investing in at the time. Things that we've talked about. There are a lot that I'll be talking about. And um let's see. We will discuss a whole lot of crazy news that is out. I mean, just so many things have occurred. Like it's just a lot to say the least since last week. I mean, this is a week where it feels like a year has gone by, and we will discuss is a lot of different things. And before I begin, but you got to know trading has risk. You got to understand the risk, be willing to accept that risk. And I'm not acting in my capacity as a uh, commodity trading advisor or licensed financial professional. I am a licensed financial professional. I have a couple of different licenses. I've been in trading education for 16 plus years. I co-founded a managed fund that is still we are still rocking and rolling up, hit all-time highs this month again. I also do retirement and estate planning. I help people, one, retire tax-free, to help people protect their assets against downside risk. You know, if you ever want to learn about how you could invest and never lose a single penny of that investment, no matter and invest in companies like BlackRock, gold, silver, the MSCI index, the S&P 500, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and never lose any money, that's what I do. You know, I teach people how to do that and retire tax free as well. I have my MBA in finance and global portfolio management and working on my doctorate in finance and economics as well. Finishing that up, I am in the dissertation phase in the final integrative experience, which has been, you know, it's a thing. It is a thing to say the least. So, Discord, let me share that with everybody. Here is our Discord channel. Is there anybody in here that is not a member of the Discord channel? Type of me if you're not, and that'll let me know if I actually need to share it or not. Okay, there are a few newbies in here. Perfect. So here is our Discord channel. That is a link to it. I can't recommend enough you guys, joining Discord and joining this. We have a lot, right? We have a lot of opportunity on Discord. Let's see. Let's see. So a lot of interaction and things like that. I got a few people in here calling out about things that I've talked about. And some trades. We'll talk about those a little bit as well. But we have this is a lot of what I want to do is interact with people and have other people interact with people as well. So that way you guys can, learn from each other, learn from your mistakes, learn from your successes. From time to time, I will put in trades in here. I've sent in trades on OKLO. I've sent in trades on various things that I do, but sometimes I'll be honest, I'm trading and I just don't remember to put them in this thing. And it's because, I have other projects going on, but I am going to be more active on there. That is a goal of mine, and that will do that. Erica, if you click the link that I just sent out, it'll bring you to this, and then you just accept the thing. And if you need to sign up for Discord, you can. And all right, I'll send it out again. Oh, I didn't send it to everyone. I sent it to host and panelists. So I sent it from myself to myself, to say the least, which is a real genius move. Sorry about that, guys. Did that link come to you now? Did you guys get that link at least? Real man of genius over here today. I apologize about that. All right, perfect. So there you guys go. I apologize about that. Join the Discord when you can. The other is special sessions. So Monday I'll be having a special session. Soon we'll be launching probably a twice to three times a week trading room. that I will be hosting as well. And that will be, there won't be an extremely expensive price on that at all. And there will be some other things that I will host from time to time as well. So be on the lookout for that. I will make those announcements via Discord for sure when that trading room goes live, as well as the newsletter goes live. We'll take a quick look at last week's announcements, but before we do, let's do a brief check-in on the world. And September 23rd, we'll have flash PMI for both services and manufacturing. Guys, that's the Purchasing Managers Index. This is a leading indicator of inflation, so we'll talk about that a little bit. New home sales. New home sales will be coming out on September the 24th. September 25th, we have final GDP numbers coming out of the US as well. And September 26th, we have PCE price index, which is the Fed Reserve's measure of inflation. Excuse me there. Sorry about that. So, and then on earnings wise, 23rd, we have Micron. MU is their ticker symbol. Costco on the 25th and Accenture on the 25th. Pretty slow news week or earnings week as we wrap up this one and launch the next one. So go ahead if you guys want to screenshot that and type in done when you guys got it. Now, I will also, while you guys are typing in done and screenshotting that, just a heads up, right? So I live in Florida. I live just north of Orlando, Florida. In the event that we have like a major hurricane coming and we lose power or something, for obvious reasons, I probably won't host that session. But I'll have my phone and I'll be able to chat and just let people know on Discord, hey, look, we're not going to have the session that week. Because this is that time of year for Florida. It's like the last 2 weeks of this month and the first 3 weeks of October is the like busiest part of hurricane season. We've got hit with a couple of late ones as well in late October, but if we do get anything, look, it's not like y'all's news ain't gonna not tell you about it, right? It's gonna major news, but if that does happen, last year I was lucky enough we didn't lose power or internet or anything. This year where I live is like right near a hospital. So there's like a brand new hospital, probably less than half a mile away. So they generally restore the power there very quickly, and if the power does go out, so I live in the right area to say the least. Prior to that, when I lived down in like Orlando proper, I lived near Disney and SeaWorld, so they kind of all I always had power. Funny enough, people gonna come see that mouse, and they're not gonna let us do without power. So down near there. So if anything happens, just be aware, and I'll kind of keep you guys informed via Discord as well. And let's see. So let's jump in to some news, right? So one person already talked about it, or asked about it. There's new H-1B visa regulation that has come out. Uh, Look, I'm going to remain unbiased on this. Actually, no, the hell I'm not. I think this is the dumbest thing since sliced bread. Okay, I'm gonna just tell you all that right now. I think this is absolutely ignorant to do, but it is what it is. Basically, they want that there is a new ruling, and actually something else got announced too. Hold on, I'll bring that up too. Travelers from China, Brazil, India, and Mexico being charged 250. On news. Here we go. Okay, so we'll talk about both of these. So first, the H-1B visa regulations. What this is they want to impose well, they are imposing $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, which would bring individuals from other countries to the United States to work in generally tech, healthcare, and those things. Additionally, there is if a company wants to, they could pay $1 million to have it fast tracked, or if an individual wants to, or sorry, if an individual wants to, they can pay $1 million to be fast tracked, or um, if a company wants to, they can pay $2 million to be fast tracked for their visa. Look, I don't care about your politics, but here is a new fee that'll be added to a worker coming into our country to work in a legal way, coming into work, pay taxes, do something with a sector that would be beneficial for the United States. Way around this is potentially they set up like a work facility, like a WeWork space in India or China or wherever it may be, wherever you're recruiting these people from. And if it's a work via Zoom situation or a work from home situation, that is a possibility. That's a workaround, and we'll see, right? That may save money in the long run because companies wouldn't have to pay the same as high US wages. But tech companies are going to be affected by this. Absolutely, they will. Um, it is just it's an interesting thing, right? That has occurred. We will see the impacts of that felt all across all industries in all markets. Where I see the biggest impact is going to be healthcare. The top medical school in the world is in India. The top, I think, three medical schools in the world are in India. And those individuals would come to the United States on a H-1B visa, work for the military and the Veterans Administration for a number of years to gain citizenship into the US, and then go work in a hospital or work for themselves as well. And that's going to be a big effect, right? We'll see that'll take that's a kind of a longitudinal study that will need to be assessment that'll need to be done, right? If companies no longer want to pay that for these people to come in, it'll be interesting to say the least. Not to say that American medical schools aren't good or anything like that. They're fantastic, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the people in them generally come from other countries as well. And so we just have to look at that, right? There is a human capital element that we miss out on, right? Then this is though what I will say to that, right? And I'll also bring this up. So there's a new $250 visa fee that is happening. Basically, if you want to visit the United States from Brazil, India, China, Mexico, and one other country, it's going to cost $250 for a visa. Um, I don't know what that looks like, but this is where what kind of is interesting. We have the World Cup next year, and this goes into place next next week on October the 1st is when this goes into place. So what happens with the World Cup and the Olympics? I don't know, right? I don't know. What happens to countries that from those places that come here? Do they have to pay for that? I don't know. There's a lot that goes on that, this is like a fly, just sit back. We're building the plane as we're flying it here with when it comes to that. And we'll know as I know and uncover stuff, you'll know. And then do other countries begin to impose that cost onto onto US citizens traveling abroad? Who knows that one? Those are two things. But then on something that just happened, I mean, today just happened, President Trump has made an announcement that he's going to pause ICE raids on agriculture, meatpacking, hospitality, mainly because it is, he's farmers are going under. All right. The farmers are going bankrupt due to tariffs, due to lack of sales for other countries wanting to import our soybeans and other things like that. We're seeing the largest amount of farmers going bankrupt in a long, long, long time. And there is a company that is buying up these bankrupt farms in droves. I'm not going to get into who it is and where it is and all that, but there is. Do your research. Um, and that is an interesting fiasco here. So this human capital element is something that we've never actually been, faced with in history. Well, one time in two times in history. But we will see. Then the other thing that's occurred kind of on the not so great side is that there was a $350 billion investment that South Korea was going to make into the United States. However, two things just recently occurred. One, the kind of foreign ministry said it would cause a meltdown, an economic meltdown, investing in the US that amount of money for Korea. The other is there's also a little bit of retaliation for what happened at the Hyundai plant in Georgia as well. Right. So that money is probably not coming to the US. There's also talks of the Middle East pulling out of the $1.5 trillion that they were going to invest in the United States, and other countries as well backing out of those in major investments as well. So we shall see. Um, Other thing that I want to bring up that I think everybody needs to understand. This just recently happened. So basically, Article 4. Now, we talked about that last week. Does anybody not know what Article 4 is? Type in a me if you don't know what it is. I'll do a brief on it real quick because this all affects markets. So, okay. So this is how when the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO as we know it, right? When that was formed, they created what's called these articles of war in order to that hey, we need help defending ourselves from this person, right? If somebody wants to come and if you pick on one of us, you pick on all of us, kind of deal, right? And so that's what NATO was formed with the alliance to do. Well, Ukraine was not part of NATO, but Poland is. A week ago, uh, Russia flew drones into Polish airspace, and Poland scrambled jets and shot them down. Then this week, like Wednesday, uh, Russia flew fighter jets into Polish airspace for 12 minutes, and Italy scrambled their fighter jets to escort those planes out of that airspace. Okay. So Estonia then has Russia, a MiG 31 went into their airspace as well in Estonia, which they are a NATO ally as well. So this is now two different countries, and both countries have triggered what is called Article 4, which is basically a vote by the allies that say, hey, if we trigger, if we need to, we are ready to go to war. Is everybody in? Yes or no? Once this vote happens and says, yes, we will stand with you, Poland. Yes, we will do this. We will scramble troops, things like that. Then what occurs is there is something called Article 5. Article 5 is where we get World War III. Just that was voted on. Article 4 was voted on the night of Charlie Kirk's assassination, as well as an Epstein file thing that I don't, they voted not to release those files that day that happened. But so Article 4 leading into Article 5 could be something very serious, right? And everything is on edge. Everything is very kind of who the hell knows what's about to happen. But if it, you know, if things get worse, then what does the US do? What do all these other countries do? I can tell you this, in French news, news out of France, they basically have started preparing their hospital system to take on the wounded from in case of a war. Right. So we got this whole lot of craziness going on, a cornucopia of craziness going on right now. And, hopefully everything smooths itself out and everything works itself out and diplomacy rules and things like that. But in case it doesn't, we need to prepare ourselves in the market, right? We need to know what's going to happen in the market. We need to pay attention to these things because, I'll tell you, the Great Depression made more millionaires and billionaires than you'd ever would have thought. And a war economy can be a good economy if you know where to put your money and not get caught, you know, with your hand in the cookie jar kind of deal. So, it's a very, very, very big interest right now for everybody to pay attention to. So, and again, guys, you will hear it from me in these Sunday sessions. I will constantly go over all good news, bad news, no matter what. I will do my absolute best to keep it very unpoliticized. And even then, but if it's something that I think just adds cost for no reason. I don't think there's any reason why we should charge for those H-1B visas. It just doesn't does not compute in my head. Okay, so I'll say that, and if anybody wants to defend it against it, that's fine. Just make sure you come with great facts because I come with deep research. Okay, so. Let's see. Fed Reserve fuels Wall Street rally and broadest cross asset surge since 2021. Obviously, we know the Fed Reserve cut rates, right? Then they also suggested here's one of the things that came out. Did anybody watch the speech from the Fed Reserve? Yes or no? Anybody watch the speech from the Fed Reserve? Yes or no? Daryl did. I got a couple did, couple didn't. Okay. I don't know what you guys took from the key part of the speech, but what I took from the one of the biggest things is that right now inflation is rising and joblessness is rising and we're which is never like a good thing. Right? Unemployment, job creation going up, inflation going up, that never leads to a good place, right? So they're cutting rates. They cut rates. They said that there's potentially some voting members wanted to see two more rate cuts later this year. Some voting members didn't want this rate cut this year, but we will see if they cut rates twice. One has to happen in October, one has to happen in December, right? Um, Conflict between the dual mandate. Daryl, yes, major conflict between the dual mandate because there was only other one time that this has happened. Only other one time in history that this happened, and I'll tell you, a couple years later, it was not pretty for the market. That's why what I'm sharing on Monday with how to invest and make sure you have a 0% floor, which means you can never lose, is a very, very, very important message to understand, heed, and be aware of. right? And put some assets in it because at that point you're guaranteed to never lose, you know. It does look like we'll have a rate cut at the end of October, so trick or treat for the Fed Reserve, right? We could have a little bit of rate cut and maybe a little Christmas rate cut as well. Because prevailing theory is that when there's rate cuts, the cost of capital is lower, businesses can hire. But if businesses don't want to hire, or if they can't hire because they're like, think about it this way, right? We have this like weird situation, and there's only so much that I own my own business, so I understand this very well, right? It's a kind of a catch 22, right? You have your hard costs, or right, let's call them just um you have your sunk cost, right? This is the cost of doing business, right? The you in sunk costs, you have landing the shipment, cost of raw materials, cost of manufacturing, all of those things, right? Those are your sunk costs. Then you have your cost of capital, and then you have inflationary costs, and then you have employee costs. Okay. Now, Stu, I'll bring into that in just a second. Okay. And now, right, you have tariffs as well, right? So if a company is willing to eat this and eat all of this, they're not going to be able to hire people to do that, right? They're not going to be able to increase hiring for that. Just not going to happen. So that's one of those things that, like, somewhere the cost of goods are going to rise. We just saw a rise in groceries by 21%. We saw a rise overall 2.9%. Hell, I will share this with you. This is part of my dissertation here, not that one. Take a look at this. Actually, you know what? I'll share. Yeah, this is fine. This is just one of the slides. In Costs have risen by 30% from 2014 to 2024. 30%. If you look from 2020, inflation was at 10%. It's gone up 20% from 2020 to 2024. Look at the healthcare costs have gone up from sub it was like right around $6,000 in 2014 to $17,000, up 174%. Homes have gone up 224% in that time, and median household income has only gone up 56%. Right? That's a problem at the end of the day. That's a problem, right? Now, so the cost of goods going up, that's going to add to the cost of living, and we're already dangerously high credit usage levels and debt levels and all of that. So something is going to break. What it is, I don't know. Hopefully it's the costs, and costs go down. Let's see. Oh, I did put two R's there, didn't I, Keith? You know what? Hey, I hope you got the point, because I'm a traitor. I don't spell. Okay. I've never won a spelling bee, and I will never claim to win one. Sorry about that. They printed too much money. The same happened in the 70s when they ended the gold standard and went to the fiat system. Printed too much money creates stagflation, high employment, high inflation. They printed a ton of money in 2021, and now we're seeing the same thing happen again. Stagflation, the government is the problem. Yeah, Mike, I would say I could agree to that. Yes, right. But we also were in a $10 trillion, sorry, $10 billion a day war at the same time. And, something had to be done about COVID. Um, and uh, let's see. Hold on. And so, yes, there was some printing of money that um that had to be done, but you are right, right? The printing of the money did create inflation. That inflation is in our system, in our economy, absolutely, right? But kind of the thing that took it even further is yes, we have this like massive uh these tariffs are not going to help, to say the least, right? It's just not. So, um, which is a not a great thing. So we will see that the outcome of that one day. All right, and then Stu's point says, wasn't jobless rising for native born since the Biden administration, mostly illegals and government workers were getting jobs. So here's the thing that I will say. And the same thing that I said and look, I'll tell you, I have voted Republican, I have voted Democratic, I have voted both parties. I don't care what party you are. I'm of what's called a very small party. There's a very small party in this country called the Common Sense Party. Not everybody's a member. It ain't that common to be common sense to have it these days, but I'm a card carrying member of that party of pure common sense. So I don't care about I don't care about people. I care about and I don't care about what message they say and what information they spread and what things that they do. But I have an extreme amount of common sense, and I'm gonna say, right? So I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound pretty rude, but I told my dad the exact same thing. Okay. He's a vice president for a major, large company. And I said, if somebody comes into this country who crosses over a river, doesn't speak the language, has to hide and be transported here in tractor trailers or whatever, and somehow can waltz into your corporation, doesn't have the degrees you have, the information you have, the engineering degrees that you have, the brains you, and they take your job, then I'm sorry, you needed to get fired in the first place. Okay. First of all, that there's that part of it. So I will just say that to people like that. Okay. The second is that joblessness rising for like most of Americans weren't native to the country, right? They came from somewhere. I'm a first generation born American. My mom is from another country. My mom worked in the banking industry and ended up as a one of the top people in mortgages at her bank for a while until her and my stepdad had their second kid, and it became cost prohibitive to put the kids in in daycare. Right? So the thing is that, like, Stu, what are the numbers behind that, and where are those numbers coming from, and who funded the research into those numbers? Here's a great one, and why. This is something I'll teach all of you guys, okay? When you guys are like looking at research and stuff like that and getting these stats, the first thing I want you to do is look down at the bottom at what company created that research, right? Like, for instance, the Bill Gates Foundation released a study that said M&Ms were healthier than boneless, skinless chicken breast. Are we flipping idiots, or are we just pure idiots? Right. And then the next thing is like, I think it's like the Sugar Growers of America, which is a lobbyist group, funded research all the way up till 2005 that said sugar had no connection to diabetes. So look, joblessness rising for native born, that sounds, I'm sorry, a little hokum research to me. That's like the thing that says that like 13% of the population causes 50% of all crime. That is a a false narrative that is a absolute pure out lie. And there, like Mark Twain said, there's three lies in this world: lies, damn lies, and statistics. So I'm sorry to stand on that soapbox for a little bit, but that's something that still I I want to see the research on it before I weigh in on it, right? But if somebody can take my job from another country that doesn't speak our language, that hasn't had the years of experience that I have, then I don't need to be working and doing what I do. That's just my big feeling on that. That's how I've worked. I am never afraid of competition. Never afraid of competition. It's like I tell my friends, I may, I play okay at golf, but in my mind, it's me, it's Tiger Woods, Mo Norman, and James Bishop, the three greatest golfers that ever walked this earth. And I ain't never been on tour. Okay, that's just me. Like I don't shy away from competition. I gotta look up the study on that, right? Like, um, joblessness rising for native born Americans. Hmm. So it's everybody's losing jobs. 4% for native borns and 3.8 to 4.8 respectively for foreign born. So, let's see. No native born employment has not soared as of the first. I want to see the numbers are the numbers, right? People lie about numbers, but people lie about facts, but facts never lie. So let's get into some stocks as well here today. I think send me that stuff, Stu, because I'm genuinely interested in what you're saying there. All right, so I'm going to get into some stocks here as well today. We're going to talk a couple of different positions, and then I'm going to flip it to you guys to tell me what you guys want to look at. So, first things first that I want to talk about is how many of you guys in here have been with me for a few months now, even to the point where I was talking about this little known stock called OKLO back here in June and July when this stock was in the $50 range. Because on Friday, this thing took a massive jump to $135 a share. Does anybody, SP? I love it, my man. I love it. Congratulations. So SP got into it at $61. That is absolutely amazing. I know you are happy with that trade. Anybody else holding on to it still? So that's $74 a share right now. That's awesome. Fantastic. Right? Hey, Stu, keep holding on to it. Keep holding on to it. SMR. I love it. In at 80, that's fantastic. Great. Guys, this is Sam Altman's company as well, right? This isn't a major investment for the company. Energy is a big player. It's modular. They're going to be able to pop up these smaller nuclear reactors in areas to help power these AI infrastructure that they need, right? I will tell you, there's probably going to be some profit taking here. So, here is what I will say that I am doing personally. I am putting a stop loss at probably somewhere between 120 and 130. Okay, because quite honestly, what I honestly think will happen is we will get a pullback and then the next bounce. I'm okay locking in my profit at 60 and then reinvesting up at 100. I'm okay with that, right? But I don't want to just take the ride down just to take the ride down. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add on, this is a Tyson tool. This is his, I'm going to add on that, and then I'm going to add on his Fib Master indicator as well. So as you see, this has now hit this new all-time high red area here. It's probably saying going to pull back to 107, which that's a good pullback, right? If we pull back down into here, I think, look, it's a great buy. If we get, let me just say this, anything between, and I'm going to set some lines up here for you guys. There and there. Anything between 83.39 and 60.64, this is an area I'm buying like hell. Okay. I'm reinvesting in anything in this area. And I'll even go as 85.26 and 60.64. Right. But the puts are coming 100, that's a $35, probably $30 move to the south that I think this has. But don't buy them right away because we don't have a red dot. We don't have selling energy over. We know that that's going to occur. If we look at a 30-minute time frame, we don't have a red dot yet there either. So we want to wait on the red dot, okay? So what did I say? Just to reiterate, this red line, my stop, I'm going to have I'll give it a little bit of room. 125. I will give it 125 as my stop. So I'm in at 6 I'm in at 60. Get out at 125. That's 105% or whatever that I would have made. That's great. And then if it runs up higher, let's say it runs to 150, I'm putting my stop at like 145. If it runs to 160, I'm trailing the market by $5. Does that make sense? Yes or no? I'm going to trail the market $5 if this continues to run up. Everybody with me on that? Great. Then I am looking for my next kind of buying area in this big area of consolidation, right? So there are three major levels that we would look to buy in: 96.52, 85.26, and 60.64. Anything in those areas are clear cut. Let's start building a position again. All right. Clear cut, start building a position again. Everybody good on that? Yes or no? Okay. SMR is another one. That one, we've talked about this for a long time as well. This had a nice little run up too, didn't it? Last week we talked about it at there it is on Sunday. We talked about it at $36.25. It's up 46 bucks. It's probably going to climb up to 50, maybe even to 53 again. But again, I would just continue to hold this one. It's not a bad hold for a while. Not a bad hold. So, and then we talked about it 2 weeks ago when it was down at $34.55. Clear cut buying opportunity there. And we'll probably fill this gap at 49.94. And then the market will fall from there. Okay. So, Stu, my man, how's SMR doing for you? How much are you up on that? Doing well, I hope. I hope. Next is UNH. Well, actually, we'll talk about LEU. LEU is another one we've talked about. This one we talked about back here in the June area as well, in that 176. It hit 294. Guys, again, same kind of play. This is probably going to continue to run up. I'm not shorting it yet. I'm waiting until I get the confirmed red dot to tell me to short, as well as selling energy. All right. So it's a fantastic stock to be in. We've talked about it for some time. I like those three as well. Let me go now to UNH. United Healthcare, right? We talked about this one. It went up to 362. It pulled back to 336. I'm telling you now, if this pulls back to 272, or even to 314, I will be adding to it. I'm going to wait for buying energy to come back into and give me a blue dot. But if you're in it, great. If you're holding on to it, fantastic. I'm not getting out. I own the stock on this. I'm not the option, and I'm not getting out until at least 580, somewhere in there, right? Ah, Stu, my man, you are a that's a smart move. That is a smart move right there. Very smart move. So, look, I think this gets, 321 is a first area where there was a gap. And then there's another gap down in here in the 280-ish area. And then it will rally up, which, by the way, UNH, really, really odd thing. Did y'all see what happened with Mangione? You guys see any of that with Mangione? What happened? No, he was released. He was the guy that allegedly, because he wasn't convicted, he killed allegedly killed the CEO of UNH United Healthcare, right? Mangione released. And yep, it is tossed. Everything's gone. 5 days ago. He's out. So, you know, out of prison, released. It's wild, wild news. Wild, wild news to say the least. But 320, where we're looking at this pulling back to. And then again, my long-term profit target, 581. It's gonna just be the little engine that could on UNH. And I want to talk about a couple that I want to share with you guys, and then we'll get into some of yours. And if I run a little long today, that's okay. I'll stay till at least 8:15 ish or so. The first is Lululemon. Now, been looking at Lululemon for a little bit now. Um, the main couple of things, right? It's still ever popular. Um, they got hit because who needs $100 yoga pants in a bad economy? Get that right there with you. We're near levels of support, right? My lowest level of support is 129 is what I'm looking at. But um, if you have an American Express Platinum card, Lululemon just announced a partnership with American Express Platinum where Platinum card holders get $300 every quarter, or sorry, get $75 every quarter to purchase something from Lululemon. Well, what's more than likely going to happen is you go in there for $75, you spend $100, Lululemon makes more profit, and they move more units, and so their unit inventory is going to drive lower, which can stabilize costs as well as create more sales. Okay, so we've seen this work with the Platinum card and credit card and raising number of sales. Saks, Fifth Avenue, they've had for years where you get $50 credits every 6 months with it. We get hotel stays and all other stuff that you get when you get the card. But I really like it at $169. I'm not, I think that it can get back into the 300s. Do I think it's going to go all the way back up to, its all-time high 519? Stranger things have occurred, right? They made a whole show about Stranger Things, but see what I did there? But 471 is the long-term gap, but I like Lululemon for sure all the way to 320. I love and if you're trading on the short term, 195 is where I take my first little bit of profit. So I'll mark these levels in green here. So right there and right there and right there. Green, green, and green are the ones that those are our profit targets and where the major gaps are in this. I like it at least to 198.64. Okay. So that's all on you what you do with that. Everybody have that written down or screenshot it or doing whatever you're going to do with that. Give me a yes if you got it. Okie dokie. All right. Next one is JD. Okay. JD Sportswear. This is another one that I really like. I think that it's at a great price for what it is. Um, and they are, I think it's one of those things that this is just a right time to purchase a company like this that's severely undervalued for what they do. They beat earnings regularly. And so I like this to at least, like at minimum 46, but could it get back to 100? Yeah, potentially. But 46 to 70 bucks is where I'm looking at. So, this is another one that I like as well. What I would wait for is your next kind of blue dot here to give you that next buying opportunity. I think maybe we see a little bit of a pullback to 33 before we see the next rally up, but 33 would be this area here would be an area of a target, and then this area would be kind of like your potential buying area. So somewhere in that like 33, $34 range. I absolutely love that. So that's JD. Now, what stocks do you guys want to look at here tonight? I'll do a few. I know AppLovin. What other? BMNR. Um, EA. Netscope. What's the ticker symbol for that? Never heard of that. NAS 100. Um, SBET. PayPal. Microsoft. Tesla. Circle. So I like, and I'll start with Circle really quickly. Look, I like Circle. I think it's okay. Here's where I really think the better play is when it comes to this stock. So maybe not as known as much as well, but I thought this was like the biggest information in the world, but maybe not. Circle, 50% of their profits go to this little company called Coinbase. So I like Coinbase over Circle because they get 50% of the profits from Circle because that's just how the arrangement they made when they invested in them. So I like Coinbase more than I like Circle just as a personal preference, but Circle, we'll go back to it really quickly. So we'll look at it on a 30-minute. I think it climbs up. I do think it rallies back up into the, at minimum, I think we get to 190. So I think there's a good $50 worth of movement here. I think there is a great buy right now. We just got the blue dot. We got market energy saying buy. So we've already hit the bearish target here. We're headed up. I think we get this buy and let's see what fibs say about it. Mm, This fib would be there, and then this fib would be there. And so, yeah, 151 to 159. If I look at my other charts here, which is CRCL, um, yeah, I think it's a great buy. I really do. Great buy right now. Okay. So, is CRCL a good option play? Yes. Right. If you're directionally options, buying a call. If you're spread trading, I leave that up to the individual. I don't tell people what spreads they want to trade because you're going to do what you want anyway. So, let's see. So, yes, Stu, great observation. Stu noticed that same IPO pattern. Yes, but right, this is that initial run up. We had the initial run up, a little bit of flat. This is that second push up. Then we'll get it flat for, down and flat for a while, right? So when you get this second push up, if we hit 300 again, take your money and run. Let me repeat that. Take your money and run at 300. You, I don't care if it goes to 400. My goal is to be rich, not right. All right. I don't know if you know that or not, but the goal of trading is to be rich, not right. So, so circle there. Let's take a look at SBET. 1733. Oof. Um, I get why it was definitely promoted for whatever reason. Um, what do they do? Advertising marketing. Mm, see, sales have projected sales look good. If if they are able to do what they say they're able to do by year end this year and have 88.85 million or billion dollars, I don't know what that is, but um is there a better comp? Let's see. Mm, They outperform all of their comps, which is great. This is what hurts them. World's largest holder of Ethereum. So they are going to be tied greatly to Ethereum. So if you want to know where SBET goes, just look at Ethereum, right? So if Ethereum's rallying, they're going to move with it. So it wouldn't be a bad bet for SBET, especially at 17 bucks, if you took it from 17 to 50, you're going to make a bunch of money. Just start, slightly moving your targets up with it. Not a bad thing. I think 17 to 30 is not without, not something to fear there, but so let's see. Let's see. BMNR. Um, BMNR. What do they do? And Lubin is already a part of it. Joseph Lubin is already the chairman of it. So BMNR. Oh, Bitmine. Oh, okay. Look, here's the mining equipment sales. It's just a very, it's like how much more do they need right now? And like, is there because the compute power eventually either A, the compute power has to get so high that it's able to mine more efficiently, or B, people aren't gonna keep investing in mining operations. If they had an energy aspect to them, I'd be all about it, right? But they reported earnings, they've done well. I'm not, it's not a bad play, absolutely not. It's just, hey, is it, what in the world? This was never a $14 million company. Is that the right? Yeah. So, in looking at this, I just don't think it goes back to 150-ish until some sort of big revolution in technology, right? Um, so, and look, you gotta understand, right? Like, that I get Peter Thiel's a part of it. Everything he invests in is not going to go to the moon or whatever. So, and we don't know when he divested. He could file a on the 10Q, he could file his divestiture then, and then you're a quarter behind him. Now, if you want a teal company that I think is going to be worth and is going to be a boom is PPTA. It's at 1831. We got a buy signal, buy signal, buy signal here. I think PPTA is going to get to 50 to 100 plus bucks without a doubt in my mind. I think we get up to 50 to 100 plus bucks. This is a mining company. And they have a gold mine, a diamond mine. They're also mining for rare earth minerals in the United States. The land acquisitions are going through the roof and going well. So this is one of those that I think is gonna have a nice little run up. It's 1831 now. I'm the same person that brought you OKLO, SMR, UNH, LEU. I'm telling you, this is one of those I really do like. Let's take a look at AppLovin. AppLovin it just keeps pushing. When it pulls back, I think it does pull back to 509, but I'm not saying get out of it yet because we don't have the red dot. Buying energy is still high, so it's not time yet to get out on the daily. Let's look at the 30 minute. Again, 30 minute, we just got to buy. It rallied up, so we want to wait for that push down here on the 30 minute. Again, market energy is still rolling high. So, if I start kind of just looking at like recent fibs on it, this is a 30 minute. So we go to there. Then this is probably your deepest retracement. And no retracement. Does it get all the way to 680? Yeah, maybe 680, 700 before the major fall. Let me look at it over here as well. Little worried about that one. Everything I say says be a little worried about it. So I would, if I were you and I own this stock, I would have stop loss like 628. right? Or I'd have it at 625 since that's 650. So I'm willing to give it $25 worth of wiggle room, but if it's dropping below 25, then it's dropping down to 508. So that's what I would say. Okay. Wait for that pullback. Absolutely. So let's go EA really quickly. Electronic Arts. You know, I think it's just a kind of a ho-hum, not ready to explode up yet. I think it's still in its pullback phases from this big earnings play that came out, and I think it pulls back, and then may get your next rally out of that. But I'm not in that one, too heavily. PayPal, I really do like PayPal right now. I think it's a great value, especially if things get worse in the economy. I think that PayPal and PayPal credit and how you pay for things is important. I also love the personally, this is just anecdotal. I use PayPal a lot myself simply to buy stuff online because I don't want to put my card information everywhere. So if I can use, their stuff at zero interest, pay it off right away, then fine. I don't have to use my card. So, but I do see PayPal as a good opportunity, long-term hold, as short-term up to 77.80, maybe even to 86 in the short term. But I'm one of those that I think PayPal could get back to, you know, near all-time highs. Um, Something into the 196 range. And then last two, Microsoft. Microsoft, I still personally think Microsoft has a correction coming. Microsoft to me is like right now, it's like they're just ever so slightly behind on stuff, right? They're a little bit behind on the AI curve. They're a little bit this, a little bit that. They're not same with Apple. They're very cautious, right? Because they're big companies. But look, I think it gets back into the $400 range and then rallies up back up. But I love Microsoft. I mean, it's not going anywhere, so buy it whenever you want to. But we got red crossing above black, so the 50-20 periods crossing above the 50 period. Never, that always means that, hey, there's a potential for a little bit of downturn there. We got short-term selling signals left and right, and in the middle we got long-term buying signals. So, for me, I think, and we got volume kind of trickling out of it as well. If we look at this, yes, we got a buy here, but this gap still worries me. I'll be honest. We're making lower lows and lower highs. Until we make a new high, I can't justify buying it. And Tesla, Tesla, look, I think it's again, I said it last week, the little engine that could, right? It's the little engineless car that could. I still think that I think we get a pullback in Tesla. Looking at 398-ish or so. But we got buying energy is fizzling out. Selling energy is stepping in. We're at that high, maybe some puts down to 381 until we take the next rally up in Tesla. Somebody says a NAS 100. So I don't trade that. I trade futures because it's just way better money on the NAS 100. But so I don't really trade CFDs at all. So I do trade the NASDAQ. So I will do a little bit of analysis here for you. Look, I mean, buying energy is high, but we are way kind of overpriced here. And the NAS is going to move based on certain tech, right? Because the NASDAQ is a well, better or worse, more swings more so with technology than with anything else. So that's the big thing there on the NASDAQ. It's not time to sell it yet, but we're pushing up on that. Okay. We're pushing up on that. So I do have to run, folks. I have to get into this other presentation that I was supposed to be in 15 minutes ago, but I did promise you guys I will go a little bit late. As always, join next Sunday. Look forward to seeing you guys on next week, and I will see you very, very soon in a webinar. Um, don't forget there's a special Monday webinar. I will post that on Discord if you would like to join that. Would love to have you in there. And then we'll see you guys next week in some other webinars as well. So have a good one, guys, and I will chat with you guys later. Thank you.